Hey, good morning, wow, good morning, everybody. A little bit late today. Guess if I was going to be late on any day, today would be that day, and that's because it's FOMC day. So not a lot going on in the market. Actually, it's going to be a pretty quiet morning, probably. We don't know. I mean, there could be some action. You never really know for sure. But usually, when you have two things going on today, you have the FOMC and you have the Bank of Japan doing their thing. And everybody's going to talk about, or at least those two banks, going to talk about their interest rates. And a lot of people think that, oh, these banks are controlling the interest rate or what have you. And well, actually, it's a little more market driven than you would think. A lot of it is going to have to kind of do with where things are in the bond market and so on and so forth. So the rate's not quite as controlled as one might think. So I mean, it is and it's not. If you can force low rates, and what that'll do is put a lot more money into the economy, like that can happen and does. But in the end, everything has to come back to reality at some point, right? So believe it or not, the market forces still have a lot to do with what's going on with the rate and so on and so forth. So, at any rate, those of you in Algo Factory know why I was a little bit late today. Apologies for that. Those of you watching live or watching the recording after the fact won't make a big difference, right? So, we have my USD CAD trade just chugging along. Those of you who know about it, it's been on for, going back to about halfway through November, some month-long trade basically. And this is a beautiful trade. It's the stop is at entry. It's just moving up. It was a major breakout. So if you look here, it was almost like just too hard to ignore. You had this consolidation going back to like 2022. And finally, there was a breakout. Now, there were some fake outs, right? Some fake out breakouts right here. We're going to look at Bitcoin soon. I know that's what you all want to see. But just a quick look at a way to make some real good money here is by trading Forex. You have these breakouts like there, here, here. But when this final breakout happened, one of the things that kind of gave me some clues, besides the fact that the algos, all this data at the bottom of the screen on different time frames, that gave me a lot of clues too. But even just looking at pure price action, you'll notice that you saw price making these higher lows. So it was major, and this works with Bitcoin or anything else, right? You had this sort of trend happening where the bottom was being respected. And it doesn't have to make a triangle. I mean, it did in this case. I'm not really at this point in my trading, I'm not that big on trading triangles per se, but it happened to make a triangle. And that usually just tells a story. Okay. And the story here is that the bears kept kind of defending that same level and the bulls kept advancing. So the bulls kept catching price higher and higher each of these moves down. Right. So that being what it is, that's why that is. So as price moves up, we're just looking at a possible target up at 145.98. And that's where I will make some good profit. This is a 2-to-1 trade. I had a pretty deep stop on this, and that had to do with how price behaved before and some other items. But there it is. There's the move. So let's go ahead and move on. Like I said, I know everybody wants to see Bitcoin, so we'll give the people what they want. Yeah, so we're just going to pull back. The first target I had was around 108, and that target was met, right? So you had this consolidation here. And, let's do this and this. So you had this kind of large, just a bunch of price congestion, which is pretty typical. You have price kind of moving up and then taking a break and then creating congestion. And as soon as that range was broken, price came up and then it hit a target of 108. And those targets are generated a couple of different ways, but I don't want to share too much because we have some information at Algo Factory that's kind of it's not inside. It's impossible to have insider trading with Bitcoin because it's decentralized. But the information we have is, let's just say, proprietary. Why we know like these targets are quite possible. But the first target was met right there. One of the ways you can determine targets is going to be with Fibonacci extensions. But the problem with that And we've seen these prior predictions. So I'm going to kind of clean up the chart a bit. We can see that I was extremely accurate over time with a lot of these predictions. Some of them were these contingencies that didn't happen. Looks like this contingency did just happen. So, we'll leave that there. And this will probably continue up. We'll see. We'll look at the algos and see what it says. But long story short, this is what you call, or at least what I've heard called, a vertical accumulation, because you have higher highs, higher lows, with the exception of this crazy wick, and it looks like this. Now, this big wick, we talked about this before. That's a shake-off wick. That's what I call it. And these weird wicks, I'm going to put a square around it so you can see it just a little bit better. These wicks tend to happen before a big move up. I've seen it happen. I could go back to like September of 2019. So I remember there was one there, and that's not the only one I've ever seen. It's just one that sticks out because I remember exactly where I was when I saw it. So September 2nd, 2019. And here it is. Where is that? That's the 14th of November. September. Well, gosh, maybe my memory is not what it used to be. I used to always, here, actually, it was not September, it was November. So you have the shakeoff wick right here in November 2019. You can see it. It's got an odd look because most of your candles have a certain kind of look, right? But this one's got this kind of it's a spinning top doji, you could say, but it's not really a doji. That the wick is, or the actual candle body is too wide for that. And you see this, and price just really, really goes up quite a bit after that. So you see this now. It might be like 2-3 weeks before price moves, that it might not. It might happen pretty quickly. Here's another one right here. Shake off wick. A week later, price starts to go up nicely, right? So these things do happen. And, the chart's always telling you stuff, right? And let's see if there's another shake-off wick that I can find. 2020 was funky. Remember how that one was a weird time, the COVID crash? But here's a shake-off wick right here, right? Shake-off wick in the daily, very similar. You see what price did after that. All it did was go up. And I'm sure there were some other ones in there, but that's a shake-off wick. And they happen. It's happened, I don't know, a few times a year. And we just saw it happen right here. So price is now heading up, and it only took a week, maybe even less. And so understand that there's a decent chance we're going to see price head up. It's just pulling back right now to grab some liquidity down in this area. So we are going to take a look at the comments. Can I call that a whipsaw? Yeah, it's definitely a whipsaw, Cool Cat. It's now, a whipsaw doesn't necessarily always form a candle like that, but that's absolutely a whipsaw. If I were to go to a lower time frame, a whipsaw is when price kind of moves in one direction, and then it does some unexpected stuff, and it throws you off. And you can see here, price, let's get rid of that. This is the same candle, just on the 30-minute time frame. And it heads up, making people think that it's going to go long, and it knocks out all the shorts. And then it goes short and knocks out all the longs, and it whips around like that. And that's a whipsaw. It's designed to just whip people out of the trades, basically. And so on a higher time frame, it's going to look, it's that shake-off candle. It's there to shake people out. It's there to get rid of the bad actors, or at least what people, it's what certain people call bad actors. So it's what it's there to do, and it works exceedingly well. So we're going to head over to the private live lab. Come to algofactory.tech. We'll teach you how to predict markets. We'll teach you how to kind of be able to see where the chart's going to go most of the time. If you know, like a better, more often than not, let's say, if you know 65% of the time where the chart's going to go, right? You might be wrong 35% of the time, but you know that 65% of the time where the chart's going to go. And you have a way which is actually pretty simple to win more money than you lose. Like maybe you risk 100 and you win 140. If you do that and you do it repeatedly, you can make money in this game. And you could do this even if you have a job. You could do it. Just anybody can do it. It's not that hard. People see the stuff and they kind of don't want to look at it. We can help people learn that. But the experienced traders also come on over to Algo Factory, because I actually have helped a guy recently clean up his whole his whole trading act. He left after 4 months and he's like, "Hey, you fixed it. Thanks a lot. See you later." I'm like, "Cool. Awesome. See you later." Like, we don't necessarily need you to stick with us. If you want to come with us just to kind of fix what you have going on, we do that too. So algofactory.tech, learn to trade like a hedge fund pro, and never forget.
Join us or die.